Nova Scotia, on the eastern edge of Canada, had its coast first recorded by European explorers in 1497, and its Atlantic position later made it a strategic crossroads fought over by empires. In the 1700s, entire fleets crossed the ocean to claim its shores, while storms, shipwrecks and harsh conditions shaped every settlement that tried to survive here. Today, many people know only the modern postcard version, unaware of the centuries of conflict, survival and exploration that influenced the province. The fortress of Louisbourg is one of the largest historical reconstructions in North America. Rebuilt from archaeological remains and the few French records that survived its destruction. The Bay of Fundy has the highest tidal range on Earth, with its rapid shifts long noted by early navigators who struggled to chart safe passages. Peggy's Cove fishing village preserves structures and routes established by early fishing communities, supported by documentation passed through generations, even though few original written sources remain. Stay with me as we uncover Nova Scotia's most extraordinary wonders, where rare discoveries and forgotten mysteries might change the way you see this province forever. Peggy's Cove lies among massive granite boulders, dragged and dropped by glaciers long ago, left scattered like giants along the coast. They hold cracks lined with sparkly biotite and reddish feldspar, signs of powerful shifts below. Its lighthouse stands on one of the largest slabs, anchored to bare rock to withstand waves that once sank ships in nearby shallows. Locals believed a woman named Peggy was the only survivor of a shipwreck in the area, whose name the village now bears. Fossils in the tidal pools remain unidentified, puzzling scientists who find patterns that don't match any known creatures. After storms, a faint humming seeps from the rock's crevices, a sound visitors claim can't be explained by wind or tide. Some link it to the Lady in Blue, said to appear and vanish among the rocks, reliving the night she threw herself into the sea after losing her husband in a shipwreck. Purple sandpipers follow the rocky coasts of this preserve, thriving where most birds cannot. They belong to a close family of shorebirds with short legs and long bills, perfectly adapted to cling and forage on slippery stones. Their dark slate-grey plumage hides a faint purple sheen, visible only up close, a subtle detail that explains their name. Along the tide line they hop and flutter between seaweed and kelp, pecking at mussels, worms and barnacles trapped in shallow pools. Groups often gather at the water's edge, moving in rhythm as they peck and flare their wings, as if signalling to the waves or to one another. Built for endurance, they withstand freezing spray and crashing surf, darting and hopping with quick, sure movements across jagged rocks. Against the grey shore, their yellow-orange legs and beak bases stand out, giving these hardy birds a vibrant, jewel-like glow amid the cold. Along with the purple Sandpipers, Peggy's Point Lighthouse also endured the Atlantic's constant storms. Built in 1915, the structure rises as a sturdy, octagonal concrete tower anchored to wave-sculpted granite. It replaced an earlier wooden structure that once held a simple kerosene lamp guiding ships into the bay. For years, visitors could even mail letters from a small post office inside, each stamped with a special lighthouse mark. Over time, the light's colour changed several times before finally settling on its current red to meet international standards. There are no direct roads leading to it. Visitors must carefully cross slippery granite paths to reach this enduring landmark. Today, the lighthouse continues to guide local fishermen and stands as a proud symbol of the nearby Peggy's Cove fishing village. This quiet fishing village began with settlers drawn by the clear waters and the protection offered by granite coves. Wooden houses cluster tightly together, painted in bold colours that stand out against the rocky coastline. Along the shore, lobster traps are stacked in neat piles, used daily to catch lobsters from the Atlantic. Boats rest gently on the water or sit pulled up in rows along the dock, ready for quick launches when the tide turns. Many residents still rely on handmade nets and old fishing methods passed down through generations. The village itself winds naturally with the rocks, its narrow footpaths weaving between homes and working docks. From sea to shore, the rhythm of life moves steadily here, flowing with the tides toward the double-crested cormorants' distant hunting grounds. These dark waterbirds spread their wings wide on sunlit rocks, drying feathers toughened by salt and wind. During breeding season, a crown of feathers spikes from their heads like a natural mohawk. They sweep their heads backward, rubbing feathers with their bills in a strange, ritual-like motion. The females call sharply and repeatedly, their cries cutting through the quiet rhythm of the coast. These cormorants also move with surprising poise across uneven rocks, balancing perfectly on their webbed feet. Then, with a sudden dive from air to sea, they slice beneath the waves of Peggy's Cove, chasing fish with relentless speed. Cape Breton Highlands National Park contains some of the oldest exposed rock on Earth, shaped into jagged cliffs and river canyons. The park's coastal cliffs face violent storms that toss waves high enough to splash the forests above. Residents often share with tourists the legend of isolated sea caves where smugglers once stored contraband, tunnels now sealed by time and tide. The Highland plateaus support rare plants that grow only in the thin soils atop flat-top mountains. Small, remote communities cling to the shore, descended from fishermen who survived harsh winters and relied on the surrounding wildlands for their livelihoods. Moose are a common sight along the Cabot Trail, often seen feeding on salty roadside ditches left behind by winter road treatments. They lift their massive antlers high, scanning the forest with sharp awareness for any sign of danger. When resting, a moose can stand completely still, blending so well into the dense firs that it seems part of the forest itself. Calves, on the other hand, bolt at the slightest noise, zigzagging through the brush before finding their way back to their mothers. Females stay close and protective, communicating with low moans to warn or guide their young. Despite their size, they move with astonishing speed, crashing through the trees with a grace that seems to defy their bulk. Cabot Trail is a highway loop in Cape Breton that passes through forests of spindly spruce shaped by strong coastal winds. The road runs along cliffs that drop sharply to rocky beaches, with waves consistently breaking below. It passes through small Acadian fishing villages. Along the route, travellers may see bears and eagles on trails that wind into the hills. The highway alternates between mountain elevations and coastal sections, providing continuous views of both forested land and open water. Many travellers follow this loop to access other destinations, including the remote Meat Cove at its northern end. This attraction is located at the end of an unpaved road along steep ocean cliffs, making it one of the province's most remote spots. The waters nearby support abundant marine life, and the surrounding mountains provide habitat for eagles and other wildlife. From its cliffs, humpback whales begin one of the longest migrations in the Atlantic, travelling between Caribbean breeding grounds and Canadian feeding waters. Their mottled skin bears white scars and barnacles, each pattern unique like a fingerprint. Underwater, they communicate through haunting calls and clicks, sounds believed to coordinate their group feeding. Calves quickly imitate their mothers, copying leaps and tail slaps as they learn how to move and feed in the open sea. Tall spouts of mist rise far above the water, often spotted from miles away. During feeding, whales open their wide mouths to sweep up schools of fish and krill, filtering them through baleen plates that work like giant strainers. As they pass the cliffs, their leaps and sprays keep whale watchers captivated, even when the Pollett's Cove horses draw some eyes back to shore. Horses in this cove roam semi-freely, cared for by nearby farmers, but left to graze wild most of the year. They arrived by boat or trail, brought to these rugged coasts for summer grazing. Curious and bold, they approach campsites but retreat if ignored or challenged. Lithobates clamitans, or the green frog, thrives in Cape Breton's ponds, reaching modest sizes but booming with loud territorial calls. These frogs display visible warts and patterns on their skin that help them camouflage among wet grass and rocks. Males engage in fierce vocal battles during breeding, locking territories with deep croaks. Their eyes have nictitating membranes, transparent layers that protect underwater vision. They hibernate below frost lines, surviving harsh winters, buried under mud and ice. In close-ups, their skin reveals tiny glands that secrete toxins to deter predators. Their biggest threat is the Maritime garter snake, which slithers through wetlands in search of these amphibians. These striped snakes move quickly across Cape Breton's rocky woods and wetlands. Their scales shimmer with varying shades of brown, red and green, often edged by yellow stripes. They hunt small animals and insects with lightning-fast strikes. Unlike many snakes, they cohabit near water, basking on logs and rocks to regulate body temperature. Mahone Bay has a unique collection of islands scattered throughout the area, making it a hotspot for sailing and boating enthusiasts. The town's name comes from the French word Mahone, referring to a flat-bottomed boat once used by privateers in these waters. Known for its arts and crafts scene, it is home to many artisans specialising in traditional boat building and pottery. Each year, the town hosts a scarecrow festival, where locals showcase creative and sometimes quirky scarecrow displays throughout the streets. Colourful houses line the streets, built to resist strong coastal winds and showcasing classic maritime architecture. Early settlers built 3 churches close together, along the waterfront to serve different denominations, a rare sight that has become one of the region's most photographed landmarks. The bay also shares its habitat with the great blue heron, a bird with a slow, deliberate walk that often fascinates observers. Its wide stance and long legs allow it to hunt patiently in shallow waters, standing nearly motionless while stalking prey. The heron's quirky sideways head bob and gradual wing stretches make the bird look both awkward and elegant at once. It has slate blue feathers, a black crown stripe, and a sharp yellowish bill that pierces fish with precision. When spreading its wings, the heron becomes a vast silhouette, sometimes using this gesture to cool down or dry feathers after fishing. Herons groom themselves carefully, often pausing mid-preen to stare long into the distance. These birds would raise eyebrows if they could, as they watch smaller seabirds like black guillemots nesting on the nearby rocky cliffs. These birds carry their prey crosswise in their bills, and some show a preference for one side, like being right or left-handed in feeding. Their red legs, feet, and the inside of their mouths contrast vividly with their dark feathers, a feature rare among seabirds. They nest in small, scattered colonies, often in cliff crevices or under stones, aggressively defending these spots with shrill whistles and lunges at intruders. The Bay of Fundy has the highest tides on Earth, reaching up to 52 feet between low and high tide. Its coastline features red sandstone cliffs and beaches formed by the constant rise and fall of the water. The Fundy Peninsula wraps around the bay, offering rugged shores dotted with fossils embedded in rock. Every 6 hours, the bay's currents move back and forth, exposing mudflats and unusual rock formations far from shore. The force behind these tides carves sea caves, arches, and dramatic landscapes found nowhere else. Moreover, the cliffs are home to the bay's most regular visitors, the northern gannet, known for spectacular plunge diving and noisy colonies. These large seabirds have white bodies with black wingtips, making them easy to identify in flight over Fundy's waters. They form lifelong monogamous pairs with elaborate courtship dances involving headshakes and bill fencing. Colonies are densely packed, and territorial fights can erupt into aerial battles over prime nesting spots. Northern gannets have pale blue eyes framed by bare black skin on their faces, giving them an intense predator-like gaze. Their long, slender wings are built for high-speed dives that reach over 60 miles per hour, straight into the ocean to catch fish. They preen oil from their glands meticulously, keeping their feathers waterproof and in top condition for hours spent in water and air. At times, they watch the odd-looking Atlantic puffins across the cliff, raising curious heads at their smaller, comical neighbours. These stocky seabirds sport bold black and white feathers and a brightly striped beak that looks like a carnival mask. In flight, they flap furiously to stay aloft, yet underwater, they transform into graceful flippers, chasing fish with ease. They nest in burrows along rocky cliffs, where their colourful appearance stands out against the rugged terrain. Puffins also have a funny habit of cocking their heads sideways, seeming to ponder deep thoughts. After the breeding season, their beaks lose some of their colour, an unusual trait among birds. Parents are skilled hunters, carrying multiple small fish, crosswise in their beaks to feed eager chicks. Their curious and comical behaviour makes puffins beloved characters along Fundy's wild coastal neighbourhoods. The fortress of Louisbourg was a French colonial military and trading base located at the entrance to the Gulf of St. Lawrence. It functioned as a major fishing port and defence post during the 18th century. At its peak, the fortress was equipped with more than 110 cannons of various sizes, strategically positioned along bastions and batteries to protect the harbour and settlement. Streets were narrow and lined with brightly coloured wooden homes, many with busy stores and workshops, opening directly onto the road. During attacks, townspeople sought shelter in fortified buildings, turning homes into mini barracks or hospitals. Its stone walls were built for coastal defence, but later dismantled by the British after capturing the site to prevent reuse. Today, the site has been rebuilt on its original foundations based on archaeological records, with features such as the barracks, bakery, and powder magazines accurately recreated. Kejimkujik National Park is one of the few areas in Nova Scotia where forest and freshwater ecosystems exist side by side. The park protects some of the only known Mi'kmaq petroglyphs on slate, showing stories and spiritual symbols. Rare plants, including wild orchids and specific ferns, grow within the park. Trails pass through old-growth forest with mature red spruce, sugar maple, and eastern hemlock. Canoe routes run through lakes and rivers, supporting native fish and waterfowl. In autumn, red and gold leaves reflect in the water along the trails. At night, barred owls become active, replacing the daytime birdsong with their calls. This nocturnal bird is known for its large, dark eyes that appear almost black, giving it an intense, soulful look, unlike many other species. With a rounded head and no ear tufts, its brown and white bars across the wings and chest provide effective camouflage against tree bark. It can rotate its head nearly 270 degrees, allowing it to spot prey or threats without moving its body. In addition, its eyes adjust size rapidly, enabling clear vision from bright daylight to complete darkness. Often, it puffs up its feathers to appear larger or to trap heat in cold weather. The owl emits a distinctive call that sounds like "Who cooks for you?", which it uses for territory defence and mating. In the wild, its calm, secretive presence contrasts sharply with the restless energy of nearby piping plovers, which keep the sandy shores alive with constant motion. These tiny, pale-coloured shorebirds favour sandy beaches like those at Kejimkujik seaside for nesting. Their bright orange legs stand out against the sand as they scurry quickly from predators. When threatened, piping plovers run in bursts, blending their speed with camouflage to escape. Their quick movements sometimes startle nearby muskrats, who are quietly foraging along the shore. This rodent carries grass in its mouth while jumping between cattail marshes and reed beds. Muskrats build lodges of reeds and mud, which create visible feeding channels from canoes. They often sit on vegetation, chewing with ever-growing sharp teeth suited for tough plant roots. Whimsical behaviours include slapping their tails on the water to signal danger and balancing on narrow reeds while feeding. Their continuously growing teeth allow them to gnaw through the toughest marsh plants. Active both day and night, muskrats play a vital role in wetland ecosystems by shaping plant growth and guiding water flow. Old Town Lunenburg is North America's best preserved British colonial settlement, built on a strict rectangular grid known as the Gridiron Plan. It grew quickly and became a hub for fishing, shipbuilding, and Atlantic commerce. Residents built colourful wooden houses with distinctive Lunenburg bumps, which are large dormers over entrances. The community is close-knit and internationally recognised for maintaining its maritime culture and practices. The waterfront remains active, with boats regularly unloading fresh catches and timber for ship decks. A red structure along the harbour once served as a fish processing facility, central to the maritime economy. Additionally, multiple churches stand throughout the town, each unique in architecture. One of them is St John's Anglican Church, located near the town centre and built with parts from an older church in Boston. Its tall steeple and wooden frame survived fires and storms, showing resilience. Star patterns painted on the ceiling hint at the night sky from the church's earliest days. For years, it hosted worship services and community gatherings, keeping the faith alive in town. The churchyard holds graves of early settlers, many with stories of hardship, war, and survival. After services, visitors often continue to the nearby Alan R. Morash House. This structure earned its nickname Wedding Cake because of the elaborate, multi-layered woodwork that looks like icing on a grand cake. It was built by two master carpenter brothers who rivaled each other, filling the home with secret compartments and intricate carvings to showcase their skills. The pink colour wasn't original, but was added later to make the house stand out among Lunenburg's colourful streets. Another popular church in the area is the Zion Evangelical Lutheran Church, a high Victorian Gothic building featuring tall spires and stained glass that illuminates its grand nave. These two asymmetrical towers soar above Lunenburg's skyline, originally serving German settlers who influenced the town's religious life. The church has operated continuously for centuries, evolving from a simple wooden meeting house to today's grand stone structure. In addition, it houses the Saint-Antoine-Marie Bell, which was salvaged from the destroyed fortress of Louisbourg. Annapolis Royal is Canada's oldest permanent European settlement, originally founded as a French fort before coming under British control. Over time, the town changed hands more than a dozen times between French, British, and Indigenous forces. Early settlers developed cultivated gardens combining native and European plant species. The river and harbour system support a variety of wildlife, attracting birdwatchers and nature tours. Local authorities maintain preserved buildings and sites to protect both the town's structures and its surrounding environment. One prominent site is Fort Anne, built in the early 18th century as a military defence for Annapolis Royal's harbour. The remaining white building is the oldest armed structure in the country, still intact. Cannons are positioned on the ramparts, reflecting the fort's defensive role. An archway under the hill provides access to underground passages that were used for storage and troop movement during sieges. Designated a National Historic Site, Fort Anne now functions as a museum, offering guided tours that explain its military history and strategic significance. This bird is unique among North American songbirds for having white feathers on its back and black on its underside. They are known as armyworm birds because they eat large numbers of these crop pests, helping farmers naturally control infestations. Females use a clever strategy when approaching nests, landing away first and walking in to divert predators. After leaving the nest, young bobolinks stay hidden in dense grass, protected by their parents and sometimes assisted by helper birds. The island functioned as a major military defence point for Halifax Harbour, containing 3 strongholds equipped with heavy artillery to guard against naval attacks. McNab, the largest installation, was built from granite and featured underground ammunition storage and reinforced concrete gun positions designed to withstand bombardment. Ives, an older structure, still holds examples of muzzle-loading cannons that once targeted approaching ships. Observation rooms with narrow windows allowed sentries to track vessel movements and relay signals across the harbour. On Morga Beach, also called Hangman's Beach, a lighthouse operated beside the keeper's house, where kerosene was first tested as a fuel in the country. As military technology advanced and air defence replaced coastal guns, the island's defences were eventually shut down and left unused. Shelburne expanded rapidly after the Revolution, becoming one of the largest communities in the region as Loyalist refugees arrived. Its harbour supported shipbuilding and trade, with local yards producing wooden vessels for routes across the Atlantic. Cox's warehouse handled goods from Europe and the Caribbean, where merchants stored and exchanged supplies daily. The town's grid layout included streets angled toward the harbour, allowing easier access to shipping and fishing areas. Growth slowed when farmland was limited and local fisheries declined, prompting many settlers to leave. The County Museum holds artefacts that document both everyday life and the challenges faced by early residents. The Uniacke estate was built by Uniacke himself, who escaped execution for his role in an Irish-led rebellion before returning to claim his fortune and construct this home. The mansion stands on land overlooking Lake Martha, named after his wife, and is surrounded by extensive natural beauty. Its main house has 33 rooms, including grand parlours, a library, servant quarters, and formal dining areas, all preserved to show early 19th century life. Covering nearly 1,000 hectares, the property includes forests, bogs, lakes and drumlin hills. The grounds feature one of North America's few remaining examples of English landscape garden design from the colonial period. Visitors can explore over 10 kilometres of trails, ranging from easy gravel paths to challenging woodland routes. Local legends say the house is haunted by whispers of family tragedies and betrayals tied to its founder. The pileated woodpecker is one of the species that makes noise in this quiet park, known for its maniacal laughter-like calls. It's a giant black bird with a flaming red crest and white stripes down its neck, appearing almost prehistoric in flight. These birds chip huge, nearly rectangular holes in trees to find carpenter ants, their favourite food, hidden deep inside. When flying away, their slow, steady wing beats produce a distinctive rustle, unlike other species. Often seen sitting still on tree trunks, they intently listen and peck with powerful precision. Their drilling can last minutes, creating large cavities used later as homes by other woodpeckers or animals. Additionally, they look for food by tapping dead wood vigorously, and their drumming serves as a territorial signal across forest landscapes. The Dingle Tower is a 95-foot stone structure with a tapering, four-sided design set on a granite base. It was built on a knoll overlooking the northwest arm on a peninsula called the Dingle. The tower was proposed as a memorial to celebrate representative government in the region. A circular stone staircase with 81 steps leads to observation decks on the top floor. Two large bronze lions donated by the Royal Colonial Institute of London stand at the entrance stairway. Inside, the walls are lined with plaques and stones contributed by Canadian provinces, territories, Commonwealth countries, and others worldwide. Nearby, a plaque commemorates John Cabot's voyage, highlighting the site's connection to early exploration. Grand-Pré National Historic Site is located in the Annapolis Valley, where Acadian settlers built earthen dikes in the 1600s to hold back seawater and create farmland. The surrounding area remains highly fertile due to centuries of tidal sediment deposited behind the dikes. Local volunteers care for the gardens, planting crops and species typical of the period. At its centre is a museum, an interpretive building with pink walls and stained glass windows that contrast with the surrounding countryside. A main walkway passes through hedges, leading to a bronze statue of Evangeline that represents those displaced from the region. Benches along the path are arranged for visitors to rest and view the sunrise during certain seasons. Point Pleasant Park contains old British fortifications, gun batteries, and stone towers built during the 1700s and 1800s. It has the Cross of Sacrifice, which is a World War I memorial that honours soldiers from Halifax who served in the conflict. Over the years, some visitors have reported hearing cannon sounds or seeing figures resembling soldiers during foggy nights. The park remains under the ownership of the British Crown and is leased to Halifax each year for a nominal sum. This solid cylindrical tower rises 26 feet, with base walls 8 feet thick, built of rubble masonry that tapers slightly toward the top. The ground floor functioned as a storage magazine, while the second floor provided barracks for soldiers, accommodating up to 200 personnel during active use. Originally, the tower was armed with 6 guns on the roof and 4 on the barrack level, including carronades and cannons. Gun ports and musket loopholes allowed defenders to fire while remaining largely protected. The tower was also part of a coastal defence system, designed to guard strategic approaches to the harbour. Its location at the highest point in the park offered clear views for monitoring any approaching enemy ships. The red squirrel scurries along the grasses of this tower, as if remaking its operations with its busy chatter and activity. They primarily feed on conifer cones, which they harvest and store in scattered caches. To access the seeds, they use sharp, ever-growing teeth to crack open tough cone scales. When intruders approach, these squirrels give vocal warnings, and if these fail, they escalate to screeches, growls, and even physical chases to defend their caches. Being diurnal, they are most active during midday, adjusting their activity according to weather conditions to conserve energy. Their bushy tails assist with balance, communication, and intimidation during territorial disputes. Additionally, in some cases, females pass their territory to offspring, a behaviour that increases juvenile survival while reducing their own chances of survival. Pictou is known as the starting point for Scottish settlement on the Northumberland shore and continues to thrive in boat building. The town also hosts one of the region's busiest small harbours, supporting both fishing and ferry operations. Caribou Island Lighthouse ensures vessels navigate the harbour's challenging tidal waters safely, while nearby tidal pools reveal marine life often overlooked by visitors. Meanwhile, the local skate park adds energy and youth culture to the town centre. The port manages a daily mix of commercial fishing boats and passenger ferries. Along the waterfront, former warehouses have been transformed into museums and galleries. And one of them is the Hector Heritage Quay, which features a full-scale replica of a once popular immigrant ship. Exhibits here include blacksmith shops, carpentry workshops, and rigging rooms, recreating 18th century maritime trades. It tells the story of a treacherous 11-week voyage endured by passengers. The ship's restoration took millions of dollars and involved artisans skilled in historic shipbuilding techniques. It involves solar and electric power for sustainable operations. Visitors can now explore its decks and living quarters to experience life on board firsthand. During tours, guides explain the difference between the original wooden sailing ship and the eco-friendly propulsion used today. Halifax was founded in 1749 as a military settlement to limit French influence in the region. Its harbour allowed naval and commercial ships to dock, linking Atlantic Canada to international shipping routes. By the 1800s, the downtown area combined older buildings with newer construction, including some that incorporated existing facades. The waterfront handled commercial activity such as fishing, cargo transport, and ferry operations. Over time, Halifax grew from a military outpost into an urban centre with a mix of industrial, residential, and commercial areas. Neighbourhoods include narrow streets with older wooden homes and districts with modern waterfront residences. Both working-class dock workers and wealthier merchants lived in the city, with homes and workplaces distributed along the harbour and nearby streets. Following these developments, the Halifax Citadel rises as a massive star-shaped stone fortress in downtown Halifax. Its star-shaped layout was chosen to eliminate blind spots and create overlapping fields of fire for defence against attackers. Inside, the fortress was said to contain underground tunnels, powder magazines and artillery placements designed for rapid deployment. The citadel once protected the harbour entrance monitoring ships and troops while adapting through multiple military conflicts. Personnel stationed here conducted regular drills that resonated across the city, combining discipline with local practice. The site also houses a small museum with artefacts from Halifax's colonial military history. At the base of the Citadel Hill, the Halifax town clock keeps time for the city and has operated continuously since its installation. This tower rises 82 feet, topped with a copper dome, and was built to keep local soldiers punctual. Its mechanism, crafted in London, still runs the original gears and chimes every quarter hour an hour. Inside, each floor served different purposes. The bottom holds the clockworks, the middle floor once housed the clock keeper, and the top is the bell chamber. The clock was commissioned as a gift by a member of the royal family to improve military discipline around Halifax. Its steady ticking has guided generations of residents and visitors through the bustling cityscape. The tower continues to operate with minimal modernisation and retains its Victorian period engineering. The clock is so popular that even the eastern grey squirrels hop around it, as if timing their next meal or movement. These squirrels are known for acrobatics and a fearless attitude in city settings. Their sharp front teeth allow them to open tough nuts, such as hazelnuts, with surprising speed. While moving through trees, they use their bushy tails for balance and to signal other squirrels nearby. They sit on branches, grooming their fur with front paws, keeping clean and agile. Furthermore, grey squirrels prefer running and jumping through trees rather than crossing open ground, which helps them avoid many predators. Despite adapting to city life, they remain cautious and alert, quickly retreating to tree hollows when threatened. Another species common in Halifax parks is the northern mockingbird, known for mimicking sounds from other birds and even mechanical noises. Their greyish-brown upper parts and white undersides help them camouflage into garden environments. Mockingbirds often perch openly on telephone wires and branches, confidently singing to assert their territory. They preen their feathers meticulously, sometimes pausing mid-song to fluff and rearrange plumage. Their song consists of repeated phrases, often delivered loudly and persistently to establish dominance. Mockingbirds are opportunistic feeders, pecking at berries, insects and small invertebrates in garden beds. After defending their songs, they moved to their next location, often near the Halifax Harbour bridges. These twin suspension bridges connect Halifax with Dartmouth across one of the world's largest harbours. They have massive steel trusses designed to withstand strong coastal winds and heavy traffic. Built as symbols of regional unity, they replaced ferry routes and shortened travel times dramatically. They pivot around a large harbour island, offering views of shipping traffic and city skylines. The bridges are a hotspot for photographers, especially at sunrise when light catches the steel in brilliant colours. With thousands of vehicles crossing daily, they play an important role in local commutes and economic activity. From the harbour bridges, ospreys, also called fishhawks, watch the water below for fish with piercing eyes. These raptors plunge feet first into the water, grabbing fish with sharp talons and using their hooked beaks to tear flesh. Their white underparts and dark wings provide camouflage against the sky and water during flight. Ospreys perch on tall poles and dead trees, surveying wide areas for the perfect catch. Their posture is upright and alert, scanning constantly as fierce predators of the bay. After fishing, they carry prey across the sky to feed chicks in nearby nests. Furthermore, they weigh over 3 pounds, larger than many hawks, dominating the skies with unmatched hunting skills. Their territory overlaps with black-capped chickadees, small passerine birds commonly observed in Halifax parks. They produce chickadee calls, which communicate the presence of predators or indicate the location of food sources. As foragers, they manoeuvre along branches and often hang upside down to access insects concealed beneath bark and foliage. During winter, they cache seeds in bark crevices and rely on spatial memory to retrieve them later. These birds possess advanced memory and spatial navigation skills that are uncommon in animals of their size. Backyards and urban green spaces provide supplemental food, including suet, which they exploit consistently throughout the colder months. Liverpool was a privateering port, capturing enemy ships and cargo throughout the Caribbean. This activity brought wealth to the town, funding the construction of homes and public buildings. Local shipyards built fast wooden vessels designed for speed and agility in raids. A wooden bridge over the Mersey River linked warehouses and shipyards across the harbour. Nearby, figurines of the King's Orange Rangers by cannons honour the local militia who guarded the area. Taverns and inns in this town became meeting spots for privateer captains to plan operations. Today, its street names commemorate the ships, captains, and battles. This is Nova Scotia, a land of hidden wonders and remarkable architectural marvels. Now, if you don't want to miss the most unreal wonders of Oregon, check out this video.